Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott. There's Dave, and man, we are breaking the mold today.
Absolutely.
What do we got, Dave?
What's coming up? We have a brand new movie. When I say brand new, came out in the summer, correct?
Yeah.
This past summer. Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm so excited about this movie. Scott and I went and rented it. Well, actually, we bought it.
I bought it.
Scott was sitting on it for a while. I had to pre-order mine. I waited for my DVD to actually show up because I'm old school. Hell, if I had VHS tapes, I'd have that. But we waited long enough, and we wanted everybody to say, I know, I still have VHS. Shut up.
I do, too. I got Laserdisc. I don't want to hear it.
Which I laugh at one of the scenes in the movie. But we had to wait a while for us to each have the movie and then watch it. I've had this less than a week, and I've watched it 3 times.
Yeah.
That's how good this movie is. I'm thoroughly enthralled with this movie.
So before we get going into Ghostbusters Afterlife, I'd like to thank our listeners for listening. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit the like button, drop us a line. Tell us what you like about Ghostbusters. If you're new to this podcast, we spoil the shit out of things. So if you have not watched Ghostbusters Afterlife, stop now unless you want to be spoiled. This is your only warning.
Stop right now. Because we spoil everything, and I do mean spoil everything in this movie. And I had said to Scott, right before we started filming,
I don't know how you're going to do it.
I'm going to try not to spoil this movie. And he's like, well, I don't know how you can not spoil it and still talk about this movie. And I'm like,
other than it's great, go fucking watch it.
If we start to spoil this movie, I'm going down that trail. I'm jumping on my high horse and I'm following. But we talk about things, intricate things, some special effects, people who are in the movie, who maybe you don't know are in the movie, people who aren't in the movie that maybe you think are in the movie. But we're going to spoil the movie, basically. So, like Scott said, if you haven't seen it, go rent it now. Go buy it. If you have it, go put it in your DVD player or VHS player and watch it. Because I think if you like the original 2, you're going to love this one.
And that's where I was going to get at. I do recommend, if you are new to the Ghostbusters franchise, stop right now. Go watch at least the first one.
Yeah,
and then
the first one, definitely.
Because there is so many callbacks in this movie to the first movie. Mm-hmm. It's insane. The amount of Easter eggs, and I know I have only started to scratch the surface of the Easter eggs in this movie. I've only watched it one time, unlike you, but I'm going to tell you, I smiled. I was giddy the whole fucking time.
I know.
I was so happy to watch this movie. It's like, this is the experience of watching a movie that I like.
I'm kicking myself in the ass for not going to see this at the theater. I really did. I wanted to. It just never happened for me for whatever reason. But I really am. This is one of the few movies that I'm looking at right now going, why? Why did I not go to the theater to see this? The opening scene, it takes place, 35 years after the original Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
What it's supposed to be.
Which took place in 1984.
Right. So, that's about right?
A long time, yeah.
Oh, God. I remember 1984, folks.
I was in high school.
Yeah, so was I. The good old days. Anyway, it takes place 35 years later at a ranch it's a dirt farm. We'll call it what it is. It's a
dirt farm
out in Oklahoma, where one of the Ghostbusters has died, and his family comes in to take over the farm.
Right.
And when they get there, that's when hauntings start ensuing, and the opening scene in this movie for me was just
great.
I was riveted. I mean, from the minute you see that car go through the gates over the bridge and then see that locked gates, I'm just sitting. I was walking around trying to make dinner, and I kept coming back, and I'm sitting down what is this? Who's? Oh my God! And then I'm going to get dinner. I'm wait, no, there's something else going on.
Yeah, this is one you can't walk away from. You got to hit that pause button and move.
That's why I watched it 3 times, because I was okay, now what did I miss? What did I miss?
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I did. I
Oh,
did. I'm going to get this spoiler out of the way,
okay.
just because it'll make more sense and easier for me to describe.
Okay, go
The
ahead.
movie starts off with Egon Spengler, Harold Ramis, who we all know died in 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
2013, 2014. He's been gone a while,
Yeah.
and it's Egon's family, his daughter and her two kids, who inherit his dirt farm and move in after he
Mhm.
passes. As we later find out, trying to capture Gozer, the Gozerian.
Yeah. The
So that's why you really have to watch the first movie to get what is going on here, and they tie it in so well with the architect who built that building
yeah. Oh my
and
God.
with the same entities coming through. Oh, did you catch? They've dealt with Samaria the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the town? Somerville. I
Yeah.
just thought that was,
Somerville. Yeah, that was funny.
yeah, that was good.
I liked in the let me write. I took some notes last
Mm,
night.
please.
The establishing of the characters so quickly in this movie. Very rarely have I ever watched a movie. And these were all new characters too, folks. This
Mm,
wasn't like it wasn't like they were using the old Ghostbusters guys and bringing them in and then going, okay, we're going to do a new movie. This was all new characters. You didn't know any of these people from Adam,
no.
and the writing is so good and solid in this. It's not Harold Ramis. It's Reitman's son, Jason Reitman,
Yeah.
and
And Harold Ramis' son, if I'm not mistaken,
Dave.
had.
No, was it Dave Klein?
Yeah, I'm
I
not.
forgot the guy, the second writer, the co-writer's name. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. But they wrote such a solid script that within the first minute of seeing any one of these characters, you knew who every one of these characters were. You
You
knew who the
did.
mom was, you knew who the teenage son was, and you knew who the daughter was. Like right off the bat,
Let
like
me add to
quick.
this. Um, that's one thing that I can't sing enough praises about is the casting in this movie is pretty much perfect.
Oh my God, it was
McKenna Grace
spot
as
on.
Egon's granddaughter is fucking amazing. I will watch anything with this kid. She is so good, and I was blown away.
I looked over at the old lady yesterday. I was like, if I had a daughter, that's the daughter I would want. I would not understand 90% of the crap coming out of her smart head, but I would want that as my kid. I'm just like, oh my God. And knowing it's funny because I compared her being 12 years old. So anybody that's out there going, no 12-year-old kid would know this.
Yeah, they would.
Miko, I always mess up his name. Miko Kashu, the physicist, the nuclear physicist.
Mm-hmm. Oh
He's
yeah,
on all sorts of stuff. He's really nice looking guy. He's got the long, straight white
the
hair.
white hair. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy's super brilliant. He built a particle collider in his garage when he was 10 years old and blew out the
Yes.
city's subsystems.
I remember reading about that.
I saw him in an interview talking about that. So if anybody's like, no kid's that smart, yes,
Yeah.
they are. They establish it, and they establish how smart she is very quickly
Oh yeah.
and what she's capable of doing. And last night was the first time I spotted it when they're driving out to the ranch or to
Mm-hmm.
the dirt farm. The son, there's a moment where it's just like maybe less than 30 seconds where the son is under the hood of the car and you see him fixing it. So they instantly let you know that kid's a mechanic. He knows how to fix cars.
It was well done in that to establish characters that
Yep.
fast with just little
Yeah.
hints like that
Yeah.
was really the character of Phoebe played by McKenna Grace, which was the granddaughter of Egon.
Uh-huh.
To me, she was a cross between Einstein and Wednesday Addams.
Yeah. Yeah. I like when okay, now they get to the farm. Okay.
Yeah.
They go in the house, and instantly the first thing that I noticed about this house wasn't that it was just creepy, but inside the house, there's a pile of books, just a stack of books off to the
There's
side
a
of the
callback.
room. And I just started laughing. I looked over at the wife. I was like, no ordinary person could stack books like that. And she just looks at me. She goes, what do you mean? And then she looks at the screen. She's like, oh my God. It's like, that's funny. Then I like how she finds the ghost detector.
Yes. And she
That-
starts playing chess with Grandpa.
Yeah, the chess game. I actually wrote that down. The chess game is brilliant. I like the
So,
son fixing the cars.
yeah,
Vampire in the little girl that played Lucky. The girl that worked at the
yeah,
spinners. The
yeah, which turned into Sinners later in the
yeah,
day
Sinners.
when they blew up the main street with the accelerator there.
I think maybe the wife pointed out that she may have been in a movie called Vampires, the Bronx versus Vampires, or Vampires
Oh,
versus the Bronx. It was on Netflix that I no longer
oh,
have
okay.
anymore. Went and checked, but and that was really good. She's good in that. If that's her, if it's the same girl, and usually the old lady picks out people like that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you even notice that? But it's a good. She was a good little actress. I liked her character. I really liked the way that they introduced her. You know, just
Well, that's just it. Everything was introduced. Everybody was introduced really well. They're very solid characters. Paul Rudd is great in here. I can't think of the actress who played their mom. Everybody
right.
was just well picked for this.
Yeah. I don't even know how. It must have taken almost forever to pick everybody. I could see seeing the girl who played Phoebe. I could see just spotting her and going, that's the kid I want.
It was perfect.
Because I watched the extras and they showed like a little interview snippet
Mm-hmm.
of her and she's talking. She's just so excited that she
Well, of
is
course.
like in this movie. She's like, I'm a Ghostbuster, and she's just like the excitement of this little 12-year-old kid. And
That's
then
why it's so real.
they show them on set, and she's just always dancing. She always moving. She's just got that little kid energy, you know. And I'm like, oh my god, I couldn't imagine trying to direct a little kid, but Ramis did it, or not Ramis. Reitman did it. You know, Jason Reitman got in there.
Yeah, so let me roll back to the storyline here a little bit. This is dealing with the architect of. If you've seen the first one, which you should have, if you
Yes, by
haven't,
now.
I don't know you. Go watch it, then we can be friends.
Yeah. And
But
like
the architect who built the building in Manhattan, where everything takes place in the first one, has done kind of the same thing. Only in Oklahoma, he has a mine and has uncovered some ancient Sumerian ruins, and he's trying to do the same thing to bring Gozer back to rule the world. You know, I love that part near the end where his reanimated corpse, he rejoins the living, and he's kissing Gozer's ass, and she rips him in half, and it's like that was it.
He never showed.
How about I have to say this. If everybody's watching again, if you've went past this point, spoilers are coming.
Yeah. If we haven't spoiled everything for you yet,
the remaining Ghostbusters show up at the end, and we're talking Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson. Show up in their roles, and Harold Ramis shows up as well.
Yeah.
So, which was beautiful.
Tearjerker scene for me. I've watched that scene 3 times, and every time I get a little tear in my eye, like, oh my god, they did it so well. And I want to know if that's his son. There's somebody else's name when it says Ghost Farmer or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is that his son with an assumed name? Because I never saw a picture of the actual actor that's playing next to her. Like all the special stuff, I never saw a face.
I thought it was just all CGI generated onto a body, kind of like they've done Mark Hamill in The Mandalorian and everything.
If they did that, if they did like a deep fake kind of thing,
I think that's what it was.
And they just aged him up. Holy crap! CGI has come so far.
Oh, it has.
In just the last 4 years.
Yes.
Just the last 4 years, man. Because this guy, you would have thought that it was Harold Ramis on freaking set.
But when they show up at the farm, this is what got me. I just laughed so hard when she looked at them and said, "Are you a god?" And it's like, oh no, here we go again. Here we go again. And it focuses on Ray, and he's like, yes.
And the other two are like, come on, Ray. Come on, Ray. But I'm going to go back to the beginning of the movie.
Please do. Let's go back. Yeah. That is near the end of the movie, by the way.
This is, I want to make sure. When Phoebe is going into summer school, and it's funny that Phoebe is going into summer school and the brother is going to a job. And I take that as Phoebe is just really bored in school. Yeah. So she's failed classes just because she's
so damn smart.
Yeah, so damn smart. But on the way in, she tells the mom's like, "Oh, you'll have fun in school." She goes, "This isn't school. This is state-sponsored work camp for delinquents." I died. I was like, that is something that Harold Ramis's character would have said.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Or Wednesday Addams. That's what made me. It's fucking Wednesday.
Well, and when she finally meets her little friend Podcast.
Oh yeah.
The little kid who plays the character Podcast. He has a podcast, so he calls himself Podcast.
Yeah, who calls you Podcast? I do.
Oh, yeah. Why do you call yourself Podcast? Because I have a podcast. and he's sitting there talking to her, and it's funny because everything he says to her, because she says, we came out here to my grandfather, he died, and we're just picking through the ruin, the rubble of his life or something like that. And the little boy looks at her and goes, "Oh, so you wanted to find out how he mysteriously died?" And she's like, "No, I'm pretty sure it was just a heart attack." "Oh, you want to find out?" And everything he's saying is pointing in the direction that the story fucking takes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's big into conspiracies and stuff. He's on it. He is aware.
His whole podcast is about conspiracies. He knows. Yeah. He knows like ancient ruins. He knows like the old history of the Tugunsta blast of 1908.
When he meets up with Ray, Dan Aykroyd looks at him and says, "Yeah, you're really coming to your voice on episode 46." Now, Podcast says this to Phoebe very early on. He said, "Here's my podcast. Listen to it. I really find my voice at episode 46." And then Ray says the same thing. It's like, oh my, because you notice he said, "Oh, you're my subscriber."
Yeah, you're singular. I looked over at Kat when he said that. I said, "I know how the kid feels."
I know, right?
I've been a subscriber.
Yes, you're my subscriber.
It's so damn funny. But when she's going into school, they're finally meeting. Here's the thing that Kat noticed yesterday, and I would have never put two and two together, or maybe subconsciously, maybe, but never out front. When the earthquakes are coming in, and Phoebe goes in and is looking at all the maps and stuff, and she's having her moment with Gary
Gruberson.
Gary Gruberson.
Paul Rudd, who is perfect in this role.
He just falls in love with this little kid. Like, oh my God, there's somebody smart in this town that I can talk to. Is what he's like,
pretty much.
This is a great kid. She's looking at the big map on the wall, and she's like, "This is it's a seismic map." And he's like, "How do you know that?" She goes, "Because it's a seismic map." like why else would I know this? Look at it. And she's pulling up the charts and stuff that he's got, and she's like, "Well, this isn't right. This isn't lava or volcanic or Teutonic or Platonic. Teutonic? That's not right. Tectonic. Thank you. Tectonic plate movements." And he's like, "Oh yeah," and he starts like wiping off the erasable board. He's like, "Well, and one thing does this, and then it does this," and she's like, "Yeah, I'm not stupid." Like he's trying to explain it to her. He's like, "Oh, okay," and he goes to something much more like
deeper,
much more technical.
Well, he's probably very used to having to dumb everything down, especially in that town.
But when he does the tectonic thing, Kat looks over and she goes, "That's a heartbeat." I was like, "What?"
It sure looked like it now that you mentioned that.
She goes, "That's a heartbeat," and she pulled up a heartbeat chart, and then she pulled up earthquake charts. They're very, very similar.
Interesting.
And I looked at her and said, "When did you just come up with that?" She goes, "That's the first time I'd ever registered." She goes, "But I bet you a lot of people in healthcare have seen that." And
probably saw that. So it makes you think it was probably purposeful.
Yeah. Yeah. But it makes
what we have going on. Yeah. And those we find out later that the earthquakes are being caused because Egon had set up a defense system down in the mine.
That was brilliant. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either.
I didn't see that coming. That's what's cool is they're out at the mine. They go down. It's the brother, Phoebe, Podcast, and Lucky. And they all go down to the mine because they know that one of the ghosts was headed there. And the brother
Muncher.
says, "Yeah,
what
Muncher.
A great new ghost, a Muncher."
And the brother's like, "We were up there last night." So they go there, and when they're there, the ghosts start coming up the shaft. The death. What was it called? What did they call it? The suicide shaft, the death shaft, the
I forget. Yeah.
evil death shaft, or something like that. And Phoebe is looking over the corner, and you can see all the demons and everything like coming up out of the nether world,
the center of the earth. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you hear beep 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 beep, and the chargers on the machines all go off, all their proton packs, and they shoot together. They meet above the pit and then shoot straight down into the pit to hold everything back down. And as that's happening, the earthquake's going on, and they're like, "Oh boy, there's something wrong now." And then oh my God, that movie, everything fits together so perfectly. So freaking perfectly in this movie, it's not even funny.
It's got heart, it's got humor, it's got a great story, it's well acted, well directed, well everything.
Yeah.
I absolutely I applaud Bokeem Woodbine for making an asshole cop. I just wanted to kill him, and it's like, good job, man.
Yeah. Is that who that was? I knew he looked familiar, and I couldn't figure out who it was. I like whenever the Phoebe looks over at him and goes, "Don't I get a phone call?" And you know this guy. I looked at Kat, I said, "You know he practiced this line for 3 weeks. He was looking in the mirror for 3. He wanted to get that perfect delivery when he looks at her and says, 'Well, who are you going to call?'" And I was like, oh my God, the editing.
And she did. She called
the editing for that
Ghostbusters.
scene. Exactly. The editing for that scene is she's making her phone call. It cuts back to the commercial that they were. Do you have a spook, a specter, a ghost? And then they'd go back into her dialing the number, and then it would cut back to another part of the commercial. And they did that a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then Ray, as he's answering the phone, he's got Revelations.
Tell me about that, because I did not get a chance to research that. But he not only does he have it, but Egon had put that outside his farm on a sign.
Yeah.
So did you happen to look up?
In the Book of Revelations, that's the end of days.
Okay.
And that's they loosely worded around that, but that's basically out of Revelation 6:12, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The moon becomes as blood. The clouds.
Okay, I know the verse now.
The whole verse that's what it is, and it's about the end of days. And they had that on their arm, and it was getting worse. That's why that's why Egon was out west.
Well, and that's what's interesting. And we find out that the other Ghostbusters feel betrayed, like Egon just took everything and ran, when all he was trying to do was save the world. And he sacrificed a lot to try and keep his family safe and everything. And that's one of the beautiful things about this movie. Yes, it's a Ghostbusters movie. Yes, it has action. It's got comedy, but it has heart. When you see,
Lord, so much heart.
When his daughter discovers that he was not the biggest asshole that she thought he was, by seeing that he had been following her and everything. Yes, it's pretty fucked up that he did have to leave him, and we don't know exactly why, but she got some closure with him in the end, and that was touching.
It was nice.
It was really good.
I liked when Phoebe finds the secret lab, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And she has to take the fireman pole down. That's like a nice callback. But back to the phone call, I like the phone call because she's talking to Ray, and she says, "I'm calling your Ray Stans, the Ghostbuster." He's like, "And now I gotta hang up." She's like, "No, wait, I'm in prison." He's like, yeah, I've been there." And I don't think he realizes how young this kid is, like just by talking to her on the phone. And she's telling him the story of what's going on. He's like, "Hey kid, don't chase ghosts, The Egon was basically saying Egon was crazy and he's insane.
He's like, he can rot in hell.
Yeah, he can rot in hell. And then she says, he was my grandfather. And shortly after that, the sheriff comes over and hangs up the phone on her. And it's like, oh shit. And Ray, sorry, I dropped my notes. And Ray is like hung up on. He's like, hello. And he looks, you can see the look on his face goes from, well, fuck this guy, to, oh shit. Something big is going down in this fucking town.
And they show up.
And we got to go get the team back
Winston
together.
And gets the gang back together.
Yeah, but that scene right there is really good. It shows that they had problems, and it and how deep those problems were going at that point.
And I'm going to take that a little further. Yes, it did show all of that. And at the end, we get a ghost version of Harold Ramis's Egon Spengler fighting right alongside Winston, Ray, and Peter. It's a I was instantly taken back. I saw the original in '84. I've seen it so many fucking times, and I need to watch it again. But this brought me back. Like I said, I smiled the whole damn time. This is a must-watch movie. I can't stress it enough. I'm so glad I bought it.
We talk about storytelling and how usually I don't like too many sequels, and I really don't like remakes. This was not a remake. And this movie could stand on its own.
Absolutely.
But it's better if you watch the first movie for sure.
Yes.
They don't really hit too much on the second movie, but that first movie for sure. If you're going to watch this one, watch the very first one. But the storytelling is so solid. They do a lot of showing and not telling. And what little bit they do tell, they're showing you at the same time. So certain things are in context.
This is just, dude, that whole show not tell. They do everything right in this movie.
Yeah. What else did I write down? The secret base. I like how when Phoebe is in the base, in the secret lab that Egon had made, that she's not really, for a kid who's all science and all common sense and all logic and all, like I said, science, she realizes real quick who's helping her in that lab and who's brought her to that lab.
She's not rattled at all.
No, she's like really calm about it. And she explains it a little bit later on.
Yes, she does.
Aren't you nervous? She's like, when I'm in extreme fear, I get very calm. I get extremely calm. I don't register fear like other people.
And here's I can't praise McKenna Grace enough because she made it so believable.
Yeah.
That character of Phoebe is so fucking real. It's just
that's what I'm saying, like about the writing. The writing was great, but if they would have got lousy actors or miscast this, it would have destroyed this movie.
It's perfect.
Like you said, they cast. There's not one person that I would look at and go, yeah, maybe they should have cast this other person. And I want to know how this mother was raised because I want to know who her mom was. Yeah. They never say who the mom was, and they never say that she even knew her mom.
No.
So when what's-her-name came
when
through
Janine
the door,
shows up,
when Janine showed up, I was half expecting Janine to be the mom.
Yeah.
To be like, hi, honey, sorry you had to come out here, blah, 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 whatever.
For our listeners, Annie Potts does make a reappearance.
Yes, Annie Potts. God bless her. She's still cute as a button.
Yeah. Remember we last reviewed a movie with Annie Potts was Pretty in Pink.
Pretty in Pink. There you go. She's still she's still kind of like that. But it was very funny when she showed up. I was half expecting her to be the mom. You know?
That's interesting.
And it could still happen because they've never mentioned who the mom is. And this girl's so mad at the dad.
Yeah.
Understandable. Yeah.
But here's what's neat. I love the fact that this movie does end with an opening for a sequel. Now, in order for you to get that, please understand there are two end credit scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So the second one involves showing Ernie Hudson's character, Winston Zedmore, has bought. He's a very successful businessman. He ended up buying the old Ghostbusters headquarters, and it ends showing Ecto-1 being pulled in, and then the ghost containment safe or whatever starts to flash.
Yeah,
and it's like,
red.
Oh shit!
It's flashing red.
Yeah,
because what did I write? Goes to what the hell? It's when it's trap is green, trap is clean, but it was flashing red.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, they left that wide open, and you could use all these kids. You don't even have to like adult them up any. Just go use the kids.
No.
Let the what's the word I'm looking for? Let the disbelief flow through, because the disbelief in this movie is not even that disbelievable. Like the kid, because she's fixing the damn power pack.
Yeah.
And she's such a genius. When she opens it up, she looks at it, she's in the basement or in the secret lab. And she's like,
Yeah.
well, it's missing the blah blah blah, whatever it was missing. And the Harold Ramis
He moves the
ghost
light.
is moving the light to point where they're at. And she's like, oh, thanks. And she picks him up and she's fixing this. And it's funny because she talks to podcast the next day when they're getting ready to test the accelerator. Yeah. She's like, I think I talked to my grandfather. I think I met my grandfather yesterday. And he's just like, oh, really? Cool. Podcast isn't really affected too much.
This is his wheelhouse. He deals with this shit.
This is where this kid wants to live. He's like, what's funny is like after she blasts everything to shit, podcast is like, he's taking off his equipment. He's like, okay, my turn. Let me see the gun. And then they hear the sounds. He's like, I want the gun. Oh. He grabs his hammer and shit. And he's like, okay, I'm coming.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when her brother, who's played by Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, gets Ecto-1 running, and he ends up picking them up, and they're driving through town. Yes, I know
exactly what you're going to say.
They're chasing the muncher through town, and she's got a gunner seat with a proton pack, and she's blasting up. I tell you what, if you watch that and you don't get flashbacks to 1984's Ghostbusters, when they're fucking up that hotel room, that big ballroom with everything, get him, nice shooting, it's all over the place. It is so great. I really expected to see somebody get slimed, but
I was waiting for that. I was waiting. Well, okay, this is one thing that I won't ruin for you. Okay, I was waiting for a certain somebody to show up that did not show up. Two somebodies. Mm-hmm. One was a ghost and one was a human.
Yeah,
but I was waiting for two.
Well, I don't think it's a spoiler to say.
I'll leave it that little bit of spoiler.
Well, I will say I did want to see Rick Moranis, and he's not in it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
In order to see Sigourney Weaver, you do have to watch an end credit, and it is a funny scene because it is a flashback right to Venkman, and it's like, oh my god,
the very beginning of the first movie.
Yes.
This is at the very end of this movie, and that flashback is like a tease back to the very first.
Yes, it's very much a tease.
The very first movie. That kid, man, that Phoebe kid, like I said, if I could have a kid like that, I'd be like, yes, this is perfect. This is the perfect daughter to have, man.
She was awesome.
Even the teenage boy, he played that part. Wolfgard?
Finn Wolfhard, yeah.
Finn Wolfhard, man.
He's a good actor. He is.
He's got chops on him, too. He was just like, you believed everything that was going on. She puts the map down. Do you see the concentric circles? No. Do you see the circles? Yes. she just looks at him like, shakes her head like, seriously, this is my brother.
But he's mechanical. So
yeah, he is a mechanic.
Yeah, and that's what's really cool. That everybody works together. You could believe that was a family.
Yeah.
And of course, I knew exactly that Paul Rudd's character was going to hook up with Mom, and they were going to become the keymaster and the gatekeeper. I saw that coming a mile away, but it was still cool, especially when she meets up with him in the desert and rips her clothes off or and has this long flowing dress on.
Oh, that was brilliant. I loved how when she does that, she like whoosh, rips it off, and she's got the gown. I was like, that is well, it's also a callback to Sigourney Weaver's costume.
There's a lot of callbacks.
Because it was very flowy and like that.
I have one small thing, and I could be just remembering wrong. Could just be me remembering the first one wrong. I need to go back and look. Something about Gozer didn't set right with me. Didn't look quite right.
Well, it's not the real woman that they had play her in the first place.
I know that. I know you can't do that. It just seemed it really distracted me. And I know it's something silly and petty, but it distracted the fuck out of me that it was not closer. And that was
right. But dude, I don't know how you could get much closer. I really don't.
But that's why I think I need to watch the first one, because I may be misremembering.
Well, she's also not. You don't really see Gozer all that much. She's jumping around a little bit in the first one.
That's right.
And she doesn't talk that much. There's never a close-up on that actress's face.
And maybe that's it.
I think she was a Russian ballet.
Yeah. The look was there. The costume was there. The hair was there. There was just something. And like I said, it's little and just.
Gozer knows exactly who these assholes are when they show up. Because she looks over at Dan Aykroyd and she's like, are you a God. And she's just looking right at him like, I know who
Yes.
the fuck you guys are. I remember you sons of bitches.
It took her out once.
Yeah. She knew exactly who these guys were, man.
Yeah.
And then Bill Murray giving his wife, I thought we broke up. I thought this was done.
Bill Murray, my God, that man, he cracks me up in no matter what he's in.
Yeah.
He's just has such a delivery, such an energy. And even at his age, he's so fucking entertaining. And he's so young like.
Yeah. Yeah, he's still got that whimsy, that youthful
I still
whimsy.
see him all the way back in Caddyshack, Meatballs, all these old ass movies where he's 20 something and now he's 70 something.
And I still see him as that guy while I'm watching him. It's like, okay,
yeah.
The mom. Let's go to the mom for a second.
Yeah.
When she finds the ghost detector in Phoebe's room, I think she knows what it is.
You think?
Because I'm not sure when Harold Ramis's character was supposed to have left.
Right.
But because she picks that up and she's looking at it, she knows what it is because she starts doing like a little movement,
That's
like
true.
looking for a ghost. And then when it starts going off, she's like, "Oh shit!" Yeah. And she knows she has to follow him. She follows the dad down to the secret base, which leads into the wall because she's looking at the one picture and she's like, "You never cared about me." And then the light flicks over on the wall.
Oh, yeah, and then it's got all the pictures. See all
and then little Phoebe, when she's repairing the thing, she says, "How did you make a cyclotron so small?" And the light flicks up on the wall. And
shows all his degrees.
He's got 20 diplomas. She's like, okay, you're a genius. And the light comes back down.
See, okay, I want to talk about that real quick. There is no voice for Harold Ramis's character.
No. None at all.
A lot of times you don't even see him. But just the masterfulness of filming a light moving, it had feeling. It had emotion. Yeah. It was telling a story. And it's like, I just found it brilliant.
Yeah, they anthropomorphic the lights.
Yes.
Like when it's looking, because the light kind of looks around and she asks for questions. She's looking for a pair of needle nose. And the light that's hung up just comes down and like, whoop, points to it and then goes back up, and she's looking at the light. She's like, "Oh, thank you." Yep. So
it becomes really cool, and you forget you're dealing with a ghost.
It was so freaking good. Did you watch any of the extra? Did you see any of the?
Not yet. I haven't watched any of the extras.
There is just one scene that I thought this is why this guy is such a good writer on this. He talks about him being on set when he was 7 years old for the original Ghostbusters, Jason Reitman. It shows the love that he has for his dad. There's a couple of scenes where his dad walks in and they're hugging, and they you can see that these two love each other. And he's like, he's the proud son taking over the family business. Yeah. Like, look what I'm doing, Dad. And Dad's like, "Oh yeah, this is great. This is what you're doing very, very well." Not only that, but he got the original set designers, costume designers. So I guess some of the guys will probably Aykroyd with the script and whoever else helped with the script. Anybody that they could find in a room, and they had a big powwow about what made the Ghostbusters.
That's smart.
And some people were in there that I was like, "Well, why would you call them?" And they're like, "Well, okay, that's why you would call them the costume. Like, really, the costume designer? Why would you call him the costume designer?" But when they talk about the costumes, you're like, "That's why you call him the costume designer." Dummy Dave, why weren't you thinking about that? He called in everybody he could find to make sure he didn't goof it up. And he was basically saying to them, "I want to make a new movie, and I don't want to fuck this up. Help me." And they all helped him. They all jumped in.
Because the original one had heart. It had a lot of, it was just so well done. And the fact that he approached this as a way to continue the story, unlike that which shall not be named.
Which I still have not watched. And after
I haven't either, and I don't think I ever will.
After this, I don't think I could go watch that one.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I just find it, I find the fact that somebody thought they could just do a reboot appalling. You don't reboot. If somebody popped up and said, "I'm going to reboot Star Wars Episode 4.
Right.
Do you think that would go over well? No.
I'm surprised Kathleen Kennedy didn't try. But
She
another
probably
podcast.
has, and we will talk about that when we get there on our upcoming Star Wars extravaganza.
But yeah, this was definitely this was a new Ghostbusters without the original cast for 99% of the movie.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, you're really happy that they showed up. You're really glad they did show up. And in the next movie, you technically, you only need one.
Winston.
Yep. And I always said, I think you and I talked, and I always told you that I never thought they used Winston's character enough. They never gave him a big enough part. I always thought he was supposed to be more, and that was almost like that was left on the cutting room floor. If they do make another movie and they expand on Winston a little bit more, that will more than make up for how I thought his character, not him as an actor, but his character, I think, was treated.
Yeah, I think that will. I would like to see that, and I do want to see a sequel. I want to see the kids take over the business.
Yeah. And I don't at this point, I don't even give a crap if they're in New York. I know a lot of people are like, it wasn't even in New York. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. And I'm like, no,
cares?
This made sense. This movie makes complete sense where they're at.
Why am I not shocked that somebody's bitching about something stupid like that?
Here's my one little complaint. You had your one little complaint.
Okay.
This is my one little.
All right, let's hear it.
It is so minuscule. I don't know why I let it bother me, but it's just.
Well, I can relate.
It's a musical cue. It's literally a music cue. When all the spirits and you see the clouds spinning around the top of the mountain, they did the overlay from the original movie to get those things to go flying through the city and flying around town. Yeah. That was like almost the original animation, he said.
Wow.
Why didn't they use the music? I believe it's magic, magic, magic. I believe it's magic, magic.
Oh,
I was waiting for that music
I forgot about
cue,
that too.
and it never fucking came. And I was like, "What? How did you guys miss that?"
Well,
I don't know.
There's probably a good reason for it.
To it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it could have been something that simple. But I do appreciate the callbacks to the Ghostbusters theme. Every now and then you would hear the little openings. It was like,
oh, here it comes with the piano.
And then it would stop. It's like, fuck.
Yeah. That all the music was so great. And that's why, like, when I realized
that would have been,
use that scene, I was like, why didn't they use that? That would have been perfect.
I think I'm going to go watch Ghostbusters 1 right now.
Right. But that movie is so, yeah. Where are you going? Scott. That movie, Ghostbusters and the second Ghostbusters are very good movies.
Yeah.
This is I think in some ways tops them. But the good thing is they did not overdo the CGI.
No.
In this movie. They used it where they had to. And they went very practical effects everywhere else.
Yeah, the dogs, everything just looked so good, and it's because they didn't focus on it very much. The Muncher looks really fucking cool. I like it. It's like a big caterpillar.
I like how it spits.
Yes,
it's the bullets. Yes, bullets, man.
It was cool.
Yeah,
it was cool.
That was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I cannot praise it enough. And when I say that in some ways it's better than the original, I think it's because I'm older now and I'm looking at this particular story from a completely different point of view.
It's a great story. I'm
sorry, go ahead.
No, I cut you off. Go on.
No.
Okay. Anyway, I was telling people at work about this who I know have kids. I said, rent it. Right. Show your kids. Your kids are going to fucking eat this up. Yeah. I was like, man, I wish I'd have been 14 when I saw this. And it was like, oh, fuck. I was 14 when I saw the first one. And that's why it stuck with me so damn strong. And seeing this, it's like, I can't say enough about the actress who played Phoebe. I think it's such a great character. It's such a strong character. It's one that I think kids would get behind. People would get behind. It's a very positive character. And I dig it. I dig it.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole movie was so well done, and it paid respect. And a lot of people, I was reading before I saw the movie, that a lot of people were like, "Oh, it was nothing but what do they call it? Fan
service.
Fan service. It was nothing but fan service. There's nothing here." I saw this movie and I was like, there was a lot of fan service in it to
Oh,
me.
you got to, dude.
But,
You can't do this without it.
but most of the fan service that was done was background stuff, like the stack of books,
Stack and the Twinkie in the glove
the
box.
Twinkie in the glove, the Crunch Bar out of the pocket.
That one I can't
That,
place. I know that was it.
I
Help
thought
me
about
out.
it and I figured it out. It's whenever not Ray, but Bill Murray's character
Vinkman.
Venkman looks at Egon, and Egon has answered something or something. He pulls out a candy bar, goes, "Here, you've deserved this," and he goes, and he gives him the candy bar.
I don't remember that. All right.
It's in the. I think it's in the first one. It might be the second one, but I think it's in the first one. But yeah, it's such a good. That was a callback that I had to think about. I was like, I know that candy bar means something. What the hell does that candy bar mean? And then it dawned on me when he's giving him the candy bars. Here you go. No, you deserve it.
Very cool. So, do you have any more notes on Ghostbusters Afterlife?
No, I hope that nobody watched this thing all the way through without first seeing this movie. We gave you fair warning. We told you what we were going to do, and we did it. We spoiled the damn movie.
Now, that being said, I think it's still enjoyable, but I'm going to tell you, just seeing those surprises myself for the first time was magic.
Yeah. This movie was like you said, a sit down and watch from beginning to end.
It's fucking great.
I
love it.
And very few movies recently, and I'd say within the last 10, 15 years, have made me want to sit down and just watch them over and over and over again. Like, I have not, I've probably watched a couple of the Avenger movies as many times as I've watched this one in a week.
Yeah.
And I'll probably watch this one again because there is so much in this movie that you're just like, oh, now I see it. Oh, now I get it. You know, it's a well written. It's a solid movie, solid acting. The props, the special effects, nothing is overdone, nothing is underdone. It is almost the perfect movie. I would say it's almost, for what I like in a movie, I would say this is almost a perfect movie for me. How about you?
Yeah, almost. It is a top movie for me. I absolutely enjoyed it. Very rarely do I sit down and watch a movie that I literally smile the whole fucking time because I'm having fun.
Yeah. This for me has become a third holy trilogy. I got Star Wars, Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, the first three. And then now this one.
Yeah.
Now this one.
There's only one trilogy. Anyway.
Yeah. There is truly only one trilogy, but everything else comes behind it.
Yeah. This is, I can't recommend this movie enough. I hope everybody enjoys it as much as we did. I enjoyed going in and doing our old ass movie reviews on a new ass movie.
Yeah.
And I hope you all enjoy our crazy takes on things, or just, we're just two guys who love to watch movies, and this one really ticked the boxes, man. This was fucking great.
This was a movie we had to talk about.
Fuck yeah.
That's just what, I mean, normally Scott and I don't do like newer movies. We just, if you've watched any of our shows, you know that.
We keep it
but
old.
This one, we just looked at each other and went, we got to review this. This is a good movie. We were hoping it was going to be a good movie. It seemed like a good movie. Everybody I know that saw it was like, oh my God, it's a good movie. So I was like,
I wasn't prepared for how good it was.
Yeah, I would. No. For me telling you how good this movie is, you're still not prepared for how good this movie's going to be.
It will.
If you're a fan.
Checks all the boxes. If you're a fan. Even if you're not. I mean, Janine watched it with me, and she hadn't seen the first one in a long time. She doesn't remember a lot from movies, and she enjoyed the shit out of it, even without catching all the callbacks. So it is definitely enjoyable for those who haven't seen the trilogy in a long time. But I do recommend you at least go back and watch the first one. I wish I had before I watched this, but now I'm going to watch it again. So So that anything else on Ghostbusters Afterlife besides get out off your ass and go watch it?
Yeah, just get off your rear end and go watch it. Go rent it. Don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe, the share, write us a review. If you agree with us, please let us know.
If you disagree with us, let us know.
If you disagree with us, I'd really like to know why you would disagree with us. Yeah. I mean, really, I would, because I'm such a fan of this movie. Yeah. I would like to know why someone else would watch this movie and go,
I think you got those people that we talked about in our last episode of why we do what we do and what we consider movie critics and stuff like that. Some people are just got to be edgy. Just got to hate what's popular. And
if that's what it is, then don't bother talking to me. But if it's an
if you truly didn't like it, I want to know why.
Yeah, if you're really like, it just wasn't as good as the first two, or
okay. I can respect an honest opinion.
I'm curious, because I love this movie, and I know some people were trying to can it for all the wrong reasons, and you know what? That's the critic that we talk about. The people who are like, well, I have an agenda and I'm going to push it. Well, not on this movie. That kid is too goddamn cute to push your agenda on. The other little podcaster kid, he's just so fucking adorable.
I can't find anything wrong.
Last thing, when she's introducing podcast to the brother, that's where I thought you were going to go. Oh. She's like, this is podcast. He's my friend. And she puts her hand on it. She's like, he's my friend. And the brother just looks at her, looks at him like, okay, you got a friend. Yeah.
And they seemed like siblings. Yeah. That everybody had great chemistry on screen.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul Rudd and I wish I would have looked up her name, who played the mom. They were great together.
I remember.
So it was. Her name. It's just
horrible with names.
Yeah. But so next week we're going to take it back a little ways. Dave's going to find us something shitty, because as much as I enjoyed this movie, it's really hard for me to say more than it's fucking great. Go watch it. I need something to sink into other than the constant praise that this movie deserves every bit of it.
I'm surprised we went this long with this movie, because usually when we really like a movie, we're like, we love this movie. We got 5 minutes to talk about it, but there was so much callback.
There was, and that's what allowed this to happen. Yeah.
So good.
So we're going to do a couple old ones, and then we start our Star Wars marathon of 11 feature films.
All of them. We're doing all of them.
11 feature films in chronological order. Not the order of release, but the order of story.
Right. So we're going to do Star Wars Episode 1 first.
Yep.
Then 2, then 3.
Then Solo.
Then I think it's Solo, then Rogue One.
And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
4, 5, and 6. So those will all go in. Yeah. And then 7, 9.
I can't wait till we get to those, because we will be talking a lot about those. Actually, we're going to talk a lot about all of
them. But like we said, I think we're going to pull out a lot more good stuff than even I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go in looking for the good.
Looking for the good.
Miso thinks I not find any. I don't know. But anyway, be sure and join us next week when Old Ass Movie Reviews does some old ass movie.
And again.
Thanks for watching, listening, tuning in. We'll catch you next week.
Cheers, folks. Bye.